All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for, this is our fourth town hall, third town hall? I don't even know what day of the week it is. For a town hall. And thank you for being here. And again,
It's
thank you
Friday.
for,
TGIF is Friday.
it is indeed, it is indeed. Thank you for joining us. Again, just a reminder, why are we doing this? Again, just trying to further develop our community. Want to share some feedback, progress, areas to improve our distance learning plan. Also want to review some important calendar events. And then, of course, at the end, leave some space for any questions or concerns you folks might have. And I think based off of 2 weeks ago when we had our two visitors from Bryant University come, just thought that it would be important for one of our experts, Jason Roderick, director of our wellness program, to just share some tips and thoughts with you folks as we all look to figure out ways to best support our students during these very unusual times. So Jason, if I can turn it over to you at this point.
Sure. And we're going to do you ready for a poll, Kevin?
If it will cooperate with me, with pleasure.
So this is a poll we did a few weeks ago with the kids, but I'd like everyone to respond to it. See if Kevin can pull it up.
Oh.
Now, of course, it's not cooperating.
Okay, that's okay.
Sorry.
Okay. That's all right. So what I do, I should say that the way I approach this, and I've talked to the kids and I've talked to faculty as well about it, is just from, anecdotal experience as with my own family, but with a lot of the feedback from clients I'm seeing and the students I'm working with on a weekly basis right now. So, as I said to the faculty last week, that I think there's a certain novelty of this has worn off. And, I think also what I'm seeing with our kids is a certain kind of a blind optimism that this was all going to go away pretty quickly. And I think it's really kind of setting in at this time that it's not. And I think that brings with it a certain level of anxiety that we always want to keep an eye out for. But it also, it's also an opportunity to realize that things aren't going to radically change next week. And so how do we move forward and kind of deal with the new normal? I know I've got kind of a wide variety of people here, but I do think, it is important to realize, and I did say this to faculty too, that, while everything can function day to day, there is a constant low level of anxiety that kind of flows through this. Just this awareness that things are very uncertain, that, we can't make many plans right now, and, that day to day, things are going on that we don't have control over. So I think I just kind of recommend being aware of that, kind of in the background, that can happen. And, what I see is that can affect people in different ways. It can affect our interactions. We can be a little shorter than we would usually with people. There can be more tension. And usually I think that underlying anxiety can play a part in it. So I just wanted to say, be aware of that. I think with the awareness that things are not going to change really soon, we have this constant uncertainty that we don't know when things are going to change. We don't know what the next thing is going to be. We don't know when vaccines will come out, or when things will start to go back to normal and what that's going to look like. So I really try to emphasize with my clients that the best thing to do in the face of complete uncertainty is to stay in the day and just really focus on what we're doing today and what we plan on doing tomorrow. And I can think of a million different scenarios of what's going to happen next month, and it's pretty irrational because I have no control over that. So I really try to focus when I talk to clients, when I talk to my own family, is just stay in what we're doing today. And if we do make plans, and I think thinking about the summer, it's really just small plans that we as a family want to do, things that we want to focus on over the summer, and not like camps and all those other things that we just don't know what's going to happen with those. We just focus on little things as a family that we want to do. So I encourage that. And I think right now, being it is Friday, Kevin, and it is the day when we are, officially, the stay-at-home order for Rhode Island has been lifted. I do want to emphasize this. I think it's really important for everyone to do what they feel keeps them safe. And, we've had conversations, and I'm just predicting stuff. And I see a lot of late adolescent clients and college students, and I'm just kind of predicting that some people are going to respond to the stay-at-home order in one way, and some are going to respond in the other. And I think it's really good to have a conversation as a family about what it means for us to be safe and what we are comfortable with. So, as a family, we've had a conversation where I don't care if there are 17 restaurants opening up on our block. If we're not comfortable going near a restaurant, we're not doing it. We are, and I try to explain, I know with my son, I just try to explain this is why we're doing what we're doing, and this is how we're keeping ourselves safe, and as things play out, we'll figure out what those next steps for us. And every one of those steps is a conversation amongst our family members about what's okay. I just kind of predict, and I see it, that, some kids are being allowed to do a lot of other things, do some things that other kids are not. And, it's like when things are normal and we're pushing back on curfews and everything like that, I think it's in the same conversations. What makes us safe as a family, what we're comfortable with as a family, and that's what we're going to do. And it doesn't matter what Johnny next door is doing, we're going to do what makes us feel comfortable. So that, just that safety piece, I think, again, predicting, and I don't know, but predicting how things start to open up over the next few weeks. I do think there's a lot of anxiety around that. So I think having conversations around what we as a family are going to do what we do as a family to keep ourselves safe. And it does not matter what other people are doing, ostensibly, to do that. So, and I, just on the notes, I think still, I'm not saying this to preach to anyone what they should be doing, but just the mantra I always tell my clients is get outside safely, get some exercise, have some fun things that you're doing as a family. Don't try to learn a new language necessarily over this time. Don't try to, suddenly pick up the electric guitar, which my son is doing. Don't do those kind of things. Just kind of focus on the simple, and see where that is. I was just curious. The one question I had is if there is anything particular that families are doing that they find is really fun and inventive that they have come up with. I will share that personally we have made it, and this is a really terrible thing to do, but we sit as a family and watch the Great British Baking Show every night. And that's not really good for the diet, but it's a lot of fun as a family to do that. So anyone with any thoughts, any ideas that they've been doing as a family, that would be great. Thank you, guys.
Jason, I think that's wonderful. It's funny that you sort of preface it with like, "Oh no, this is bad," because I was thinking the same thing. Like we have reserved in our family, like from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. we're watching Project Runway reruns, because, and it's funny that they are sort of similar in that they are reality shows with a positive twist.
Yeah.
So you can watch it with your family, and it's like a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
But it has become our little sort of sitting on the couch, winding down, laughing and joking and stuff like that. So I think, you know, and the baking show, the Great British Baking Show, is a sort of perfect example of safe TV.
Yeah. Yeah, sharing that. We have started to experiment with recipes. Yeah. That's the dangerous part of watching the Great British Baking Show. When you see them put an entire half a pound of butter into a dish. So we don't do that.
Jason, did you see Christine's question?
No, I did not.
How can we support our seniors and their feelings of grief and loss?
Yeah. I don't think there's an easy answer there. You know, I think, you know, I will let Kevin speak to what, you know, we think about for us, but, you know, I think about doing something as a family and making sure we celebrate that experience, that time. I know I have a lot of my clients are college seniors and are experiencing a lot of this too. But I don't really think there's an answer for it. You know, I think you know, the one thing I've said to my senior clients is, you will never forget this. This will always be that one unique experience that you had that you can share with people. 20 years from now, when I graduated from high school, this is what was happening. But I think, you know, Kevin, do you want to speak to kind of like our thoughts and?
In terms of kind of what we're going to do for commencement?
No, I don't want, I'm not that specific. I was just saying like what, you know, that we are, you know, we are as a school incredibly aware of this and are constantly thinking about what we do to celebrate those kids.
Sure. Yeah, and I know that this is going to be a big topic of conversation next Tuesday and Thursday when Jason, Terry, Jen, Mark, and I meet with the senior parents. And as Jason said, I just don't think there's a simple answer. And of course, my hope with PCD is that even though this is their graduation, I hope that this is going to be just a new phase in their what will hopefully be a very long-standing relationship with the school.
Yeah.
Can I add to that real quick too? Just that last week on Friday, on the seniors' last day, we did our best to recognize and celebrate them on their last day of classes too. We had a slideshow that we had put together with some just single word descriptives that faculty had for each of them, and we shared that with them at an assembly and emailed it out to them, and then had a great meeting at the end of the day where the faculty kind of crashed a class meeting we were having, and everyone just had a chance to speak if they wanted to. And it was great. There were a lot of tears, mostly happy tears, but just a lot of celebrating them as individuals and also just as a group. So we are trying to find every opportunity just to mark those big events as much as we can as well.
Yeah. I do think in a you know, kind of a more abstract level, I think that what I see psychologically, the hardest thing here is acceptance. Just and that's what I really try to work with my clients with, is just that this is not something we can control and we don't have answers for. And I can push back, I can resist, I can bemoan, I can you know, kind of delve into how angry or sad or whatever I am about this, and I get that grief. But I think if I can just accept this is what it is right now, and it will pass, we will get to the other side of this, but what it is right now is what it is. And I know this sounds crazy, but I really try to look at the optimistic side of this and view like what opportunities I have at this time. and what I can do with those opportunities. I think for my family, and I'm sure a lot of you experience this, I don't get to spend this much time with my son and with my wife. And that has been a really wonderful thing, to be able to spend that kind of time. And my gardens never look better. That's for sure. But I think, it is, we don't know what's going to happen in September with the seniors. We don't know where they're going to be. But I do know, it is a nice opportunity to spend this time with them before they head off in whatever direction they're going in.
Jason, just final question before I let you go from Amy. The distance learning is going great, but how can we replace the social aspect of being at school that all the kids are missing?
Yeah, and and I think trying to be inventive. I mean, what I've really encouraged is kids to have their own Zoom meetings. My son is an only child, and that certainly has played into this. He hasn't been with another student or another friend, since this started. But I was mentioning in a meeting yesterday that I'm not a huge fan of screen time, but he plays Fortnite with like his buddies at night, and he really, really enjoys that. I mean, they're just, half of it's the game and half of it is the ability to hang out with his friends and talk and stuff. We're also kind of getting inventive about, social distancing. And again, it's all about comfort. A couple of lawn chairs 10 feet apart, and, latex gloves and baseball mitts and things like that. I mean, I think it is at this point just being really inventive, and just encouraging them to connect as much as possible. I do think, social media, I'm seeing that social media, whereas 90% of the time I think it's a huge annoyance, has been a really nice thing right now for the kids. So hope that helps.
And Jason, if I'm a parent who has questions, concerns, or I'm worried about my own child, can I reach out to you?
Absolutely. Please reach out anytime. And I'm happy to talk. I do Zoom meetings with kids individually, but I've had Zoom calls with parents to talk about things. And please just shoot me an email at Roderick at Providence Country Day, and I'd certainly love to help. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Jason. Really appreciate it. Very thankful to have you on the team with your guidance, both for our students and for our teachers and parents. All right, now I would like to quickly just share some of the feedback that we got from the survey last week. So again, I want to make sure that we are trying to stay engaged for the balance of the year. We started off the first week on April 3rd, got a ton of feedback. April 17th went down a little bit, and then from May 1st, we only got 92 responses. So let's be sure that we are trying to stay in the game and finish the year strong. So the overall satisfaction, April 3rd, it was 4.1, went down to a 3.7 April 17th, and May 1st, it was 3.9. I would say that the faculty and the parents, the two adult groups, we've been pretty consistent. The students has really kind of gone down. So it started off at a 4.0. April 17th, it was 3.4, and May 1st, it was 3.5. And I would say that has been pretty reflected in the comments. And I think just, again, a lot of the narrative, it's not so much a dissatisfaction with what we are doing with distance learning, but more just kind of a dissatisfaction with the overall just setup of where things are. That this is a somewhat poor substitute for school in person, which I think we all know. And so just in trying to be supportive of the students, again, I think a wide range of, I'm getting a lot of work, I'm not getting enough work. I still think the overall sentiment is that the distance learning is going really, really well. I know a nice humility check from me. One of the comments was, my kids have expressed that Kevin Folan's sessions are too long. He tells too many stories, and perhaps their time could be better spent doing classwork. So whoever wrote that, Thank you. Whatever sort of ego I have developed these last 8 weeks, that was quickly out the window. So let's make sure we're keeping up with the surveys. We are sending out our final one next Friday, and then our final town hall will be Thursday the 21st, since there is no school on the 22nd for a PD day for our teachers. I've wanted to wait as long as possible to make any decisions about commencement and end of year activities, really just based off of what Governor Raimondo was going to do. I didn't want to get out in front of her and promise things that I couldn't follow through on. So yesterday she had kind of her big unveiling of the state reopening plan. And for anyone that watched, it was a little bit anticlimactic. I think on the one hand, it was good that we are now entering phase 1 of the reopening of the state. And then as she also described, there's really not going to be much of a difference between today and yesterday. Groups of 5 or less is really all that we can do. So any sort of hope of having a just kind of traditional commencement ceremony, unfortunately, I think has been thrown out the window. I know that my team, we spoke today. We've got a number of different on-campus ideas that we are looking to unveil to our senior parents on Tuesday and Thursday. So please stay tuned for that. And I'm assuming that between May 8th and June 10th, there is going to be some movement, again, assuming that the curve has been flattened and now it's going to be kind of a downward trajectory. But again, continue to work with the governor's office and with the Rhode Island Department of Health to just figure out our next steps. I know this upcoming Wednesday, May 12th, we are going to have our first reentry task force meeting. That's going to be led by our nurse, Lisa May Costa, and it's going to be a variety of different constituents on campus to make sure that whenever we can reopen the campus, we will be thoughtfully prepared. I see a couple things happening in the chat. I'm not sure if that was just from Jason's conversation. Okay, that was just from Jason. I did want to go over just a couple of dates. So last night, for anyone who was able to attend, I thought we had a great time on the trivia night. It was significantly harder than I was expecting. So another dose of humility for me, which was wonderful. May 12th and 14th, just to echo, we are going to have our senior parent coffee. You're going to hear a little bit more specifically from Jason Roderick, from Terry Ward, talking about the summer and for next year. And then Jen Aitken, Mark McLaughlin, and I, we're going to talk about some of the ideas that we have for commencement and the end of year activities. Jen Aitken, if I can put you on the spot to talk about our virtual field trip day, which is coming up this Wednesday, May 13th.
Sure. So today, both the middle school and the upper school had some assemblies at the end of the day where we shared a special schedule that we put together for Wednesday next week. We're condensing classes a little bit, so they're maybe only about 30 minutes long for most of the day. And then we're opening up the afternoon and asking students to basically just spend some time taking a field trip somewhere. We did say, if there are local sites, whether it's a historical site or a nature trail or something like that, that they could safely visit, staying within the COVID-19 guidelines, then they are welcome to do an actual field trip somewhere. But we're also compiling a list of links to everything from art museums to virtual hikes on the Great Wall of China to all these different places, again, encouraging them just to do something a little different and explore. Within that, we also will ask them to take some either screenshots or photos that they can then share in an advisory on Friday and talk with their advisee, their advisor and their other advisee classmates about what their experience was like. The neat thing that came out of it that I wasn't expecting is we actually had a couple of students volunteered to lead field trips. We had one student who I'm talking with about possibly just doing a virtual tour of the stable where she works, and another student that wants to go down to some of the Gatsby Days sites and give some historical context there. So we may have some student-led field trips that our students can join, which is also, again, something that we weren't planning on, but are excited that they're into that. And I said we can definitely send that link out to parents as well. We're still kind of putting pieces together, but absolutely. So you can join your students on a field trip if you'd like.
Jen, perhaps that could be included in Mark's Sunday email, just so that kind of all the information is going to be in one place.
Sure.
Thank you. And I know that this is kind of a new thing. We don't have a specific day during the year where we do a field trip. But again, I think we have tried wherever possible to, one, keep things fresh, but also, two, some of these annual traditions that we have, rather than canceling them, how can we reimagine them in a virtual format? Which segues into Miss Calitri, if I can put you on the spot to talk about our middle school Grandparents' Day next Friday.
Sure. Yeah, we're really excited to be able to continue this tradition, even if it's virtual. We are inviting grandparents and special guests. Doesn't have to be a grandparent. It can be a special relative or family friend. Mrs. Kelly has sent out invitations and information about this. And guests and students will be meeting in advisory groups. And in that advisory group, we have sort of a special slideshow and some special things to show you. Faculty will speak and students will speak about their experiences. And we're hoping this leads into a discussion, as it usually would on Grandparents and Special Friends Day, for grandparents and friends to talk about their experiences and maybe what they went through when they were in middle school. So we're really excited that this is able to happen. And if you have people that that you haven't sent information yet to Mrs. Kelly, please do so, and she'll get those links and that information to you. And just reach out with any questions. But it should be a fun time.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. I'm really excited to see what that's going to look like. I know that Mr. Harper, he outlined our virtual field day, which will be Wednesday, May 20th in the afternoon. So the kids seemed excited about that. May 21st, again, is going to be our final town hall. And Jeff Murat, I know that you had asked, are we going to have some over the summer? Absolutely. I think you can bank on a lot of communication. We will have some town halls. And then we're also going to do some fun stuff, trivia nights, things like that. Oh, Morgan's got a question for you, Jen. You see that about Grandparents' Day?
Yep. Yes, Grandparents' Day, it starts at 12:15. And we have set aside the last 2 blocks of the day. So we have set aside the last 90 minutes. So 12:15, and it could go till 1:45, depending on how late and how long the discussions run. So the last 2 blocks of the day starting at 12:15.
Awesome. Thank you. Jenny, anything you want to say about senior presentations? Is that ready for discussion yet, or is that still?
So I have a dog barking and all kinds of chaos going on in the background, but I can just say briefly, Rachel Donnelly and I are meeting on Monday, and we'll be sharing some more of those details with our seniors early next week.
Beautiful. Thank you. And then I know that our culminating award ceremony assembly is going to be Friday, June 5th, which will be our final day. So if we can believe it, kind of the countdown is down. I believe it's 17 days until the end of the school year, which is very, very difficult to fathom. At this point, let me be quiet. What's on your minds? What do you folks want to talk about? What questions or concerns do you have for the team? Nothing? Which is okay with me.
I just like to say bravo to the whole staff, everybody. I think you guys did a phenomenal job. It was a nightmare, I think, for every school, and you guys really pulled it off. Great job. Very happy.
Thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate it.
Definitely.
Okay. Amy has a question. If kids still have stuff in school, how and when can they get it? Okay, so for Mark's Sunday email, you folks will see a sign-up link. And basically, we have come up with an elaborate schedule where each family will have an opportunity to come to campus and have about 15 minutes to get stuff from lockers. If you have any medication in our health office, If you have equipment in the locker room, if you have any of your art supplies still in the art rooms, you will have an opportunity to get any and all of your belongings. So stay tuned for that in that Sunday email. That was a good question, Amy.
Is anyone available? Zachary has stuff from baseball that they were supposed to take for their trip. They have a duffel bag. He has a bomber jacket he doesn't need anymore. Is anybody around to collect baseball gear that was never used?
Our house is open from basically from 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. So if you want to drop it off, someone will be happy to take it. You give it to the right person.
Okay.
And is that over in the gymnasium, Bethany?
Is what?
The equipment you were just alluding to?
No, it's in our house.
No, it's in our house.
Oh, I was
There's
confused.
stuff for the baseball field, like the Florida trip, and just
They're given,
issued like
it's PCD issued stuff that Coach Dickerman gives to all the players. They each get a big, massive duffel bag, and they have a big old bomber jacket. And they have, I don't know if they were given gear to bring, but every student's supposed to bring stuff with them on the trip from the team, like that they use. So we have a bag of stuff sitting here that I want out of my house. So I didn't know if Dickerman was like hanging around or wanted to do like an hour or two drop off day or something.
I might have to specifically ask Coach Dickerman. I do not want to get out in front of him. So you can either bring it to Murray House or you can wait. I would hate to upset him. That would be bad.
Right. And I don't want Zach to get penalized. We don't want that to happen.
No.
Coach D, you gotta watch out for him. So
Yeah. I'm the head of school except for the baseball team.
the other thing that I've been doing for the kids, I know people are saying like the kids seem to be starving for activity and a little bit more exercise, getting out. So we've been riding our bikes a lot as with family a little bit, but also I've been setting up scavenger hunts for them. So I'll text them a clue, then they have to go find it, take a picture, and text it back to me. And then I'll send them the second clue, and we'll have them like navigate around the east side or something like that. So they've actually, I've done it now a few times. They've had a lot of fun doing that. So it's been good.
And if people live on the east side, we're happy to share them. The last one my kids did, they ended with a treat, and they ended at Three Sisters because the ice cream shop is open. So it's really cute. And it's not like it's not Cumberland. What?
Want to put one together for Cumberland?
We don't know our way around Cumberland. Sorry. But if you want them for the east side, or you want to drive up here, you can park on the boulevard and bring your bikes with you and use this area. It's a lot of fun. It's not babyish. Like some of them were hard, and the kids needed further clues to figure them out. So
That's great.
It's an idea.
Tiernan, I know that your hand was up.
Oh, I still have a jacket from the middle school play. So I would need to get that back to. So as far as the jacket, it's part of the costume from the middle school play.
Yeah, you can drop that off at Murray House.
Okay.
No problem.
I see a question about the art show, the upper school art show. I can share that the art faculty has been considering a variety of different options, and at the moment is looking to do some sort of virtual sharing of visual and performing arts at the end of the month, tentatively on the date that was set aside for Coffee House, which I believe is the Thursday before Memorial Day weekend. So again, that's still a work in progress, but the arts department definitely has intentions and plans to allow some sharing for all of our great student artists.
And I'm assuming this question is top of mind for folks. What's the plan for the fall? Again, I wish I had a crystal ball. I don't know how all of this is going to evolve over the summer, but know that our greatest hope is that your kids will be back on campus in the fall and we will be back to business either as usual or in some sort of thoughtful, socially distant way. In the absence of that, we are going to plan for a number of other scenarios, and without question, we will be in touch with you throughout the summer to keep you apprised of our plans. Anything else you folks want to talk about? Questions you might have, concerns? And if there is nothing, you know, I can hang out probably for another 5 minutes. I know that I've got a call at 4 o'clock, but if folks want to just, you know, hang out, if you have some more specific questions for me, feel free to do that. I guess my final thing is that this is the end of Teacher Appreciation Week. I hope that you folks are appreciative of the PCD teachers, because I know that I sure am. I think these folks, as Jeff indicated before, have done a phenomenal job of seamlessly transitioning to this incredibly different way of educating your kids. And so I appreciate their flexibility and adaptability during these extraordinary circumstances. So keep up the great work, team. Again, we've got 17 days left in our academic year. I want to make sure that everyone, our teachers, our parents, our students are keeping their heads in the game. And I appreciate just, you know, my admin team, my leadership team, just in the extraordinary work that you folks have done in trying out new things, whether it's, you know, middle school grandparents day, virtual field trips, or virtual field day. So thank you so much. Everyone have a wonderful weekend. Stay healthy, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye now.
Thank you.
Kevin?
Oh, and happy Mother's Day, of course.
Yeah. Kevin?
Yes.
I just want to let you know that I've been looking at 8 cars circling our parking lot in a nice wagon circle. They're the girls of 2018 that are all back here. They're safe distancing and reunioning out in our parking lot.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Tiernan, how's teaching going for you?
It's good. I actually was staying on because I had been meaning to contact you. Because I don't know where you guys are. I'm sure you've already figured out your graduation thing, but when you originally sent it out, I just never got around to sending it. My idea was to have, you know, basically, and you know, you could do this for the 8th grade even as well as, you know, like for their stepping up ceremony, but to have kids, you know, like have all the parents within the 2 parking lots that you guys have,